Hey guys, Nick here from Just For You Studios, and I'm joined by Luke, and today
Hello.
we are bringing back an old show. Now, back in the day, like one of my first ever series I had was called Let's Talk, and I would just talk about random topics. There was Let's Talk Movies, Let's Talk Gaming. Let's Talk was then kind of the combined thing if I just wanted to talk to you guys. But we're bringing it back here today, kind of revamped, revised in its glorious video form. So, Luke, are you ready to get started with today's video?
I believe I am. Are you ready, audience?
I mean, if you're not, you should probably pause the video,
they
wait
can't
till
really
you're ready.
respond,
Get
so-
ready. Just take a breather. Get mentally prepared.
Breathe in, pal. That's what failure tastes like.
So, today we're doing Let's Talk Movies Guardians of the Galaxy. Now,
Yeah.
obviously I chose to do this one because Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out.
Topical.
Topical, yes. Also, just because Guardians as a whole is very different from all the other
Yeah.
films in the MCU. So, we're also going to keep this very concise. I have a 10-minute timer here. We're only going to spend 10 minutes on this topic.
Only 10.
Only 10 minutes. So,
I
ready
give it a
to
10
get
out of
started?
10. Yes. I
And
am
go.
ready.
So, I guess I'll get started.
Yeah.
The thing that I think when I think of Guardians is it's just so different from every other film in the MCU. It's like
Yeah. It's
after Iron Man, they went, wow, this works. And they just kind of kept that same formula and copy-pasted it from hero to hero, making slight changes.
yeah, definitely.
Guardians is the first movie that really broke that. It's like,
Yeah, it's definitely more like unique in its kind of approach to it. Whereas like you're saying, like they're copy and pasting. Whereas like this one felt like not really as much so. Maybe besides the villain, if we just took that out, then yeah, it's pretty different. I'd say. Yeah.
yeah, in fact, like, to the point where if you look at, like, Guardians,
Yeah.
compared to all the other MCU films, firstly, it's very disconnected. I mean, you
Yeah,
get
it's like-
Thanos as a cameo,
Yeah,
a
there's that.
couple nods here and there, but
Yeah.
if you took out the Marvel name and this just came out as its own film, I feel like it would have done just as well.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe not as well since, like, again,
The
like,
Marvel
Marvel
fanboys.
The name is kind of like, hey, it's Marvel, maybe we should go see it. But, like, yeah, like, if it was its own thing, I don't think anybody would really bat an eye, because it feels very different from most of anything Marvel's done.
Yeah. And, like, I love how it doesn't take itself seriously at all.
Oh, God, no, not even slightly.
If you look, again, like, the first Iron Man, it was kind of this realistic take on, like, how a billionaire could become a superhero, and then all the other
Yeah.
movies kind of followed the similar tone of, okay, let's bring the superhero and kind of implement them into the real world while keeping a lot of the comic book craziness, but still grounding it.
yeah.
Guardians, like, fuck it.
Yeah,
They're
like,
in space,
you know what?
they make jokes, they are the worst people that could possibly save you if you're in trouble.
Yeah, pretty much. And I also kind of like, it doesn't even feel that much like a superhero film. It's almost kind of like a Star Wars, Star Trek, kind of just like science fiction mesh of bunch of elements together, but
Well-
kind of also separate, like making fun of that also at the same time.
And all the characters are very flawed. Like, it's good to
Oh,
have
God, yeah.
flawed heroes, but Guardians took it to the extreme. Like, all the heroes aren't really even heroes. They're
Yeah,
people who are like, well, I guess we gotta save the day. I mean, do we wanna?
Yeah,
Not
like-
really, but I
like-
guess we gotta.
Like Star-Lord's basically just a common thief, but yeah, he was able to kind of, as his character progressed through the film, he kind of, he's like, oh, there's more to him, and then you kind of realize why he did what he did by the end of the film, is like being a hero and all that.
Hell, Rocket and Groot were criminals.
Yeah,
in the
they were also
galaxy.
pretty much like criminals, and then like, whatever. What was there's a couple characters I can't remember their names because like, science fiction names are weird and don't make any sense. But it was the I'm just gonna say the green girl.
Gamora.
Yeah, Gamora. Like she was like basically working for the villain the whole film, so it's kind of like,
She's Thanos' daughter.
yeah, so
Like,
it's
the
like,
daughter of
well-
the greatest supervillain in the MCU right now.
yeah, it's like, well, shit, that's not a really good title to have. So, but yeah, like even she was able to turn into a good person by the end of it. And who else was there besides that? Oh yeah, there was
Drax.
Drax. Fucking love Drax, by the way.
He's great.
Nothing goes over my head. I'll catch it.
Yeah, and apparently a lot of that Drax characters in the second one. But James Gunn was actually talking a while back about the second one, and he showed Vin Diesel part of it. And literally
yeah.
the first 3 minutes of Vin Diesel's reaction was just him going, "Oh my God, give me a minute. Oh my God, give me a minute, guys. Give me a minute, guys. Oh my
That's
God,
great.
give me a minute." Because he was just so blown away. Just because he didn't even see all of it. He saw maybe the first 30 minutes or something.
Yeah.
But he just fell in love with it, and he said it's everything Guardians was, only greater, because the theme of the
Yeah.
first movie was becoming a family. This one apparently is being a family.
Yeah.
But I love that we're getting, and they also said all the actors brought it up to that next level, which
Yeah,
I
that's
can't
like-
imagine Chris Pratt from
Oh,
Guardians
God.
bringing it up to the next level. I didn't know
Next
there
level.
was a next level.
Going to the next level, boy. But yeah, it's like I'm actually really excited to see how they do with like all the characters for the next film. Mainly just because I've heard some stuff. It's like not only is it like really funny, but it's also got some good emotion to it. The feels. You know?
Yes. And like there's just a lot that I love about Guardians. I mean,
Yeah.
even if you look at the art design and the special
Oh,
effects
God,
and all
yeah.
that, it's beautiful. And again, another thing that separates it from every other film in the MCU, what visually looks
God,
like
yeah.
Guardians that isn't Guardians that's in the MCU.
Yeah,
There isn't
yeah.
really anything. Possibly Thor Ragnarok, but we have to wait and see.
Yeah, gotta wait for some time before we see that. But like, yeah, Guardians' art direction is definitely a lot different from anything I've seen in the MCU. Mainly for probably one reason, because most of them try to take place in like realistic settings, whereas this one's like, huh, no,
We're in God knows where space.
we're in a big floating skull in space. Why? Because we can.
And it's also great that Marvel took the risk to begin with,
Oh
because
God, yeah, because like
not
nobody
many
knew
people
these
even
guys.
knew about the Guardians. Like, even when I saw Guardians, I didn't even think about the main five that were in there. I thought the old OG Guardians from the comics that
Yeah.
started, which I don't even know if Star-Lord was a part of that. He might have actually, but
I don't
like
know.
the old team had like none of these characters. They just pulled like, oh, issue 27, Gamora. Let's put her in the movie.
Yeah.
Drax had a good run, and so did Groot. Let's pull them in.
Yeah.
Oh, Rocket, he's a fan favorite of all 12 people who read our comics. Let's bring them in.
Yeah,
like-
it's like they got like the ones that's like, well, I mean nobody reads these, but what are the ones
What
people
are the
like?
standout characters
Yeah, what are
in
the
the
standouts?
comics that nobody cares about?
Yeah, and it's kind of surprising because I'd feel like this would be more like well known, but I guess now that it is, maybe it's a bit more well known. Maybe there'll be more characters or whatever from the
I mean,
comics.
The Guardians has a huge roster. Like, even in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they're bringing in another character from the comics, Mantis,
Oh,
who
really?
I'm excited to see, yeah.
I don't know who that is. I should check that out.
So Mantis will be in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So I'm glad that they're also adding in characters. Nebula is apparently going to be part of the gang, as well as Horn Whistle Guy.
I
can't
love
remember
Horn
his
Whistle
name
Guy.
right now.
I know who you're talking about. And
Yeah.
I don't even remember the actor's name, but it's like I know who he is.
He's a big actor who, again, I'm also forgetting the name of. But, like,
yeah. Same here.
I feel like Guardians showed that Marvel, if they put their mind to it, can make a good movie out of anything.
Yeah.
How much money was made off of a movie where two of the main characters are a tree and a raccoon?
Probably not many because it's maybe the only one.
I mean, like, it's crazy how much money they made off of
Yeah, it's like
a tree,
it's a
a
shitload of money.
raccoon, a green guy with tattoos, and a green girl, and then Chris Pratt doing Chris Pratt things.
Yeah.
They
Chris-
made bank off of that. It
A
shows
lot
that
of
Marvel could make anything into a good movie if they really try. And
Yeah.
have someone like James Gunn at the creative head.
Oh God, yeah, that might have been kind of a thing for Marvel's like, should we get this guy? Because like this sounds a bit out there, but they were able to, and I feel like it's better for that because that's kind of what the film was like. Is almost like Marvel's equivalent of just like, hey, let's do this really weird thing. Why? I mean, we have the money to do it, and it'd be cool, so let's do it.
And it felt like a breath of relief. Like,
Yeah.
all the other Marvel films were so, like, intense superheroes, this one continuous story, and then, oh yeah, and then Guardians is over here doing its own thing. Like, that was nice to see.
yeah.
I'm glad that it was so separated from the rest of the MCU. Could you imagine what would it have been like if they did the Ant-Man thing of, like, halfway through the movie, the Guardian ship gets lost and they land on Earth and meet the
Oh.
Avengers?
That would have been just yeah. It's like that probably would have crashed and burned like their ship.
I'm glad that they kept it so separated. It's nice to have Guardians as its own thing that, like, all the stuff is happening on Earth, sure, but it's nice to see that something can exist that doesn't have to affect the major story directly.
Yeah, or at least not yet that we know of.
Not yet, of course, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
as an introduction to the characters, like, I'm glad that it was its own thing, that they could do whatever they want with it, which
Yeah,
maybe
it's
that was
like-
because Marvel was afraid. They're like, okay, if this does bad, it's in space. We can just separate it.
Yeah, it's
from
like it doesn't
everything."
have to actually involve anything with our like usual universe things. So,
But it was great, and I loved
Yeah.
it, and I think Marvel should do more of it. In fact, Thor
Yeah.
Ragnarok, it looks like they're like, all right, let's copy and paste Iron Man. Did not work with Thor: The Dark World. How about we copy and
Yeah.
paste Guardians? Like, I want to see more Guardian-style
Yeah.
films in
I
the
also
MCU.
I would also kind of like mainly just like Marvel films that are kind of like its own little thing instead of having to kind of connect to like the rest of the MCU. Like
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like that the MCU is this one continuous story, but
yeah, it's
after
like,
a while it
yeah.
gets very draining.
Yeah, like after a while, and also just like finding ways to connect it to the rest of the MCU is like really weird. Like I remember in Age of Ultron, it's like, oh, Thor's having a flashback and he's got to leave. It's like, but why? It's just slowing the story down. It's like, cause a connection to Thor Ragnarok.
Well, you get two things from that. You get the thing with me and Tony Stark right now. It is so hard for me to follow Tony Stark's current character arc
Oh,
just
God,
because
yeah,
it's
he's
had
just, like,
so
going
many
all over the
ups and
place.
downs, and he's
Yeah.
been everywhere. It's like,
All over
okay,
the
so
place.
what's his mindset right now? Is he still having PTSD from seeing aliens? Is he
Yeah,
over that? I
yeah.
mean, he had that phase where he's like, I'm done being Iron Man, blowing up my suits. Then immediately next he's like,
Hey, I'm
got all
Iron
the
Man
suits
now.
back. Phew. Like,
I'm Iron
what?
Man again. It's like, dude, I thought you just said you're gonna stop, but you didn't.
And
So.
then you also get the movies
Okay.
that are just set up, like Iron Man 2. It was purely set up for the Avengers. You
yeah,
didn't
it
need to
basically
have
just
it.
was just set up for the Avengers, and that's basically it. Whereas Guardians didn't have to really.
Guardians
worry
could do
about-
whatever it wanted. It's its
Yeah.
own thing, which I love. Guardians is very unique.
Yeah,
That's
it is-
what I love about Guardians.
it is
It's so
very,
different
very
from
unique.
everything else in the MCU.
Yeah.
And I want to see more Guardian-style things, which
Yeah.
we'll have to see Guardians of the Galaxy 2 so that we can kind of see, is it staying on track with the first movie, or is it kind
or
of
not.
going back into the MCU line of, okay, well, these guys got to
Connecting
be in
story.
Infinity Wars. We got to get them
Yeah.
ready. Let's have them go to Earth. Let's have them meet the Avengers in
I
this
real-
movie.
That would probably make no sense though, because they'd be like, so is like this universe an alternate dimension, or is it time travel? What?
With that said, I am excited to see the Captain America thing of Star-Lord getting back and now listening to 2017 music and going,
Oh yeah,
what is this shit?
yeah. It's like, she's just like confused by it.
Alright, well that has been Let's Talk Movies, Guardians of the Galaxy. What makes it so unique? We'd love to hear your
Lots of
thoughts
things.
in the comment section down below. What did you love about Guardians? What did you hate about Guardians? Just let us know.
What were
And,
you moderate about with Guardians?
Yeah, and we'll see you on the next video. Also, let us know what we should do for the next Let's Talk Movies. Any specific topics? I believe one of the next ones probably we'll do closer to Spider-Man Homecoming is
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about the Sam Raimi films.
Oh yeah, I've got a lot to talk about those.
But let us know what we should do, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Stay classy. Later. Woo!